So let's begin with DEI and firefighting. So California, LA in particular, has spent an awful lot of time attempting to do its firefighting staffing with intersectional characteristics in mind. Now, this is not a rip on the current firefighters in Los Angeles. It is a suggestion that the misprioritization of effective firefighting below the race and sexual identity of the people who are doing the firefighting is stupid and wrong and backwards. And that if I were to Google LA Fire Department, what I should have seen over the course of the last several years is LA Fire Department staffing up with best possible not enough lesbian black women in LA Fire Department. Unfortunately, it's the latter that you see. So all the way back in 2017, I actually testified in front of Congress about DEI, intersectionality, and all this sort of stuff with Adam Carolla. Adam Carolla, of course, is a very prominent host, podcast host, radio host in Los Angeles. He lives in one of these areas. And Adam, in 2017, talked about how he had attempted at one point to join the LA Fire Department and was told he couldn't because he was, just a big white guy.
I want to talk about my white privilege so badly. I graduated North Hollywood High with a 1.7 GPA. I could not find a job. I walked to a fire station in North Hollywood. I was 19. I was living in the garage of my family home. My mom was on welfare and food stamps. And I said, can I get a job as a fireman? And they said, no, because you're not black, Hispanic, or a woman. We'll see in about 7 years. And I went to a construction site and dug ditches and picked up garbage for the next 7 years. I got a letter in the mail sent to my father's house saying, your time has come to do the written exam for the LA Fire Department. I took it, and I was standing in line, and I had a young woman of color standing behind me in line, and I said, just out of curiosity, when did you sign up to become a fireman? Because I did it, or a person, 7 years ago, and she said, Wednesday. That is an example of my white privilege.
Okay, and again, this has been a long-standing policy of the LA Fire Department going back for decades. In 2021, Robin Abkarian, one of the worst columnists in America, a columnist for the Los Angeles Times, had a piece titled, quote, the LA Fire Department's sexism problem. Yeah, that was the main problem there. That was clearly the main problem. When I reached Chris Larson on Thursday, she was in Spokane, Washington, attending an international conference for female firefighters. Larson, 55, is president of LA Women in the Fire Service and has worked as an LA firefighter for 31 years. Over time, she's risen to the rank of battalion chief and is currently the only black female officer in the department. She is, as are many of her firefighter sisters, deeply unhappy about the dearth of women on the force and about the fact that women are hazed, harassed, or disrespected by some of their male colleagues. This is an especially fraught moment for the LA Fire Department. This is in 2021, talking about how terrible it was that there weren't enough LGBTQ people in the LA Fire Department. There weren't enough women. That was really the big issue. In 2022, at the behest of the left, then Mayor Eric Garcetti stood alongside current Fire Chief Kristen Crowley and launched the LA Fire Department's first ever Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Bureau, focused on ensuring a safe, diverse, and inclusive workplace for all. Garcetti said, we believe in and are committed to justice in Los Angeles, and we focus an equity lens on every aspect of our work. Of course, Kristen Crowley is herself a lesbian, which means that she is highly qualified to be LA Fire Department chief. And that's obviously the main qualification they were looking for. Here she was defending the DEI initiative at the time.
I'm super inspired.
She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? I say, I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that. She's quick to point out that doing so has a greater purpose, attracting the best and brightest for the job.
They feel included, they feel valued, and they feel part of a cohesive team.
Really, slow clap for the geniuses who decided that we needed racial diversity and sexual diversity in firefighting as the top priority over at the LA Fire Department. NPR in 2023 covered this diversity initiative. The byline over there suggested, quote, firefighting is mostly white and male. A California program aims to change that. Well, man, oh man, have you guys succeeded? You guys are amazing. Now, again, it's not the racial constituency of the fire department that is responsible for the failures of the fire department. However, where you put your focus as a government says something about your priorities. And your priority obviously wasn't just staffing up with the best. Here's NPR reporting on this in 2023.
Firefighting departments nationwide have tried to diversify their ranks for years. They have made only modest progress. Today, the profession remains overwhelmingly white and male.
Oh, no. Oh, absolutely. Wow. That's so terrible. Well, the good news is that at least Kristen Crowley was honored at the local Pride Parade. That's the really important thing. This is just from last year. Now, half of West Hollywood may be on fire by this evening, but the important thing is that the fire department chief is herself not straight. That is the thing that matters most of all. Yeah, but again, when it comes to the DEI in the fire department, that is a problem. It is also a tertiary or quaternary problem when it comes to the list of problems here. Top of the list would be things like lying about your wildfire prevention efforts, which is what Gavin Newsom did back in 2021. According to CAP Radio, quote, on Gavin Newsom's first full day in office, January 8th, 2019, the newly elected governor stood before the cameras clad in jeans and sneakers and surrounded by emergency responders and declared war on wildfires. Everybody has had enough, the governor said. He said climate change was sparking more fires more frequently. And he said that the state's response had to fundamentally change. But 2.5 years later, as California approaches what could be the worst wildfire season on record, it does so with little evidence of the year-round attention Newsom promised. An investigation from Cap Radio and NPR's California newsroom found the governor has misrepresented his accomplishments and even disinvested in wildfire prevention. This is 2021. The investigation found Newsom overstated by an astounding 690% the number of acres treated with fuel breaks and prescribed burns in the very forestry projects he said needed to be prioritized to protect the state's most vulnerable communities. Newsom has claimed that 35 priority projects carried out as a result of his executive order resulted in fire prevention work on 90,000 acres. But the state's own data show the actual number is 11,399 acres. Overall, California's response, this is NPR reporting, has faltered under Newsom. After an initial jump during his first year in office, data obtained by Cap Radio and NPR's California newsroom show Cal Fire's fuel reduction output dropped by half in 2020 to levels below Governor Jerry Brown's final year in office. At the same time, Newsom slashed roughly $150 million from Cal Fire's wildfire prevention budget. This is circa 2021. Gavin Newsom, the most amazing governor who wanted to run for president. Unbelievable. And it's not just on the statewide level. Just weeks ago, LA Mayor Karen Bass cut the fire department budget by nearly $20 million. According to the New York Post, LA Mayor Karen Bass faced scorching criticism Wednesday. As it was revealed, she cut the city's fire department budget by $17.6 million ahead of this week's devastating fires, as she prioritized funds for its massive homeless population that largely went unspent, according to a report. The cut was the second largest in Bass's 2024-25 fiscal budget, city figures show, and it wasn't even the gunning she wanted. She actually wanted to cut $23 million from the fire department budget. In fact, the cuts were so bad that even Crowley was warning how bad they would be. She actually wrote a letter to the Board of Fire Commissioners saying, quote, the LA City Fire Department is facing unprecedented operational challenges due to the elimination of critical civilian positions and a $7 million reduction in overtime at variable staffing hours. These budgetary restrictions have adversely affected the department's ability to maintain core operations. They do not have the capacity to prepare for, train for, respond to large-scale emergencies, including wildfires. That was according to, again, LA Fire Chief Kristen Crowley to Mayor Karen Bass last month. And here's the thing. Preparation for this stuff requires years in advance. Chad Pergram, senior congressional correspondent for Fox News, interviewed Senator Tim Sheehy of Montana, who made his business career with a company that fought wildfires. And what Sheehy said is, quote, those of us in the wildfire community have been shouting from the rooftops for years this was going to happen. We're going to have the big one in a wildland-urban interface environment, which is what this is. It was going to be catastrophic. This is the big one. As a federal apparatus, we are not prepared to fight fire year-round. It's January. Most of the air tankers, helicopters, and firefighters are off contract. They are not prepared to launch out. And this is like one of the few things the government should actually be good at, and they have sucked at it. They've been awful at it. They haven't also done the things they need to do on an environmental level. So they did not clear the brush. They did not create the fuel breaks. They did not do backfires in order to burn and clear burn some of the areas that were most likely to become tinder for a giant wildfire like this. In fact, the firefighters were running out of hydrant water in the middle of this. They were running out. That's insane. They literally had no water. According to the LA Times, the hydrants are down. One firefighter said over the radio, water supply just dropped, another added. The Department of Water and Power confirmed reports of hydrants being empty without giving numbers. According to Rick Caruso, the problem stems from reservoirs that feed the neighborhood's hydrants. He said this is a window into a systemic problem of the city, not only of mismanagement, but our infrastructure is old. By the way, the infrastructure in LA is super old. We used to live in Los Angeles, as y'all know. When we were living in Los Angeles, the transformers that provided power to everybody's houses, those things hadn't been updated since the 1920s. LA, California are wildly mismanaged. They've built no new reservoirs. They've built no new dams. The Sites Reservoir, which was a very important reservoir for holding water for situations like this, which was planned in a remote corner of the western Sacramento Valley for at least 40 years, still has not been built. It still has not been built. They spent billions of dollars building nothing. That is how California works. Are you tired of the lies and the twist of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.